In the quiet town of Redwood, on the eve of his 12th birthday, young Timmy received a peculiar gift. It was a day much like any other in this sleepy hamlet, with the exception of the anticipatory excitement that danced in the air. You see, Timmy was just your typical 12-year-old boy, full of life and curiosity, and this was his special day. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, a mysterious package arrived at Timmy's doorstep. The box, wrapped in old, weathered parchment, held an air of mystery that was both intriguing and somewhat unsettling. Yet the allure of the unknown was simply too much for our birthday boy. With eager hands, Timmy unwrapped the package, revealing a ventriloquist doll. Now, this wasn't your run-of-the-mill puppet. No, this doll had a name. Mr. Grin. Intricately crafted with meticulous attention to detail, Mr. Grin was an unsettlingly lifelike figure. From the glossy, almost reflective black hair to the finely stitched, old-fashioned suit, the doll was a sight to behold. But perhaps the most unnerving feature of all was its face, a pale porcelain visage adorned with a painted, toothy grin that seemed to stretch just a tad too wide. The eyes, a pair of gleaming glass orbs, held a look of quiet amusement, as if they were privy to a secret joke. And yet, beneath the amusement, there was something else, a glint of something dark, something sinister. But to Timmy it was merely a fascinating toy, a unique birthday gift that would surely be the talk of the town. As the evening descended into night, and the last slice of birthday cake was devoured, Timmy couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Mr. Grin sat in the corner of his room, its ever-present smile leering in the dim light. Little did Timmy know, this was no ordinary gift. Mr. Grin, the ventriloquist doll, had a life of its own. The days following his birthday, Timmy began to notice strange happenings around his home. It began subtly, almost imperceptibly. An odd creak here, a soft thud there. Things one might attribute to the natural sounds of an old house settling. But as the days wore on, these peculiarities grew more pronounced. Timmy's toys started to move from their designated spots. His favorite toy cars, once neatly lined up on his shelf, would be found scattered across the room. His coloring books, always carefully stacked on his desk, began appearing in the most unlikely of places. The kitchen, the basement, even the attic. Then there were the noises, strange, inexplicable sounds that pierced the silence of the night. A low, eerie giggle that seemed to echo from the walls. A soft, almost whispered conversation coming from nowhere. It was enough to send chills down the spine and make the hair on the back of Timmy's neck stand on end. And through it all, there was Mr. Grin. The ventriloquist doll, with its ever-present chilling smile, seemed to have a knack for appearing in the most unexpected places. One moment, it would be sitting on Timmy's bed where he had left it. The next, it would be perched on the kitchen counter, or nestled among the linens in the laundry room. The more these oddities occurred, the more Timmy found his eyes drawn to Mr. Grin. There was something unsettling about the way those glass eyes seemed to follow him around the room, the way the painted grin never faltered. As each day passed, the unease grew, a creeping sense of dread that gnawed at the pit of Timmy's stomach. He couldn't shake the feeling that these strange happenings were not mere coincidence, that they were somehow connected to Mr. Grin. As each unsettling event unfolded, Timmy couldn't shake off the growing dread that Mr. Grin was more than just a doll. One chilling night, Timmy discovered the terrifying truth about Mr. Grin. This was no ordinary night, and Mr. Grin was no ordinary birthday gift. Timmy, tucked away in his bed, was awakened by an eerie rustling sound. His eyes, heavy with sleep, fought to adjust to the dimly lit room. And there, in the middle of the floor, was Mr. Grin. This was not the same wooden doll that had been gifted to Timmy on his birthday. This Mr. Grin was moving, twitching, and writhing all on his own. His once innocent grin had contorted into a sinister sneer, a grimace that sent chills down Timmy's spine. As Timmy watched, his heart pounded like a drum, his breath caught in his throat. He wished to look away, to pull the covers over his head and pretend it was all just a nightmare. But the grotesque spectacle unfolding before him held him captive. Suddenly, Mr. Grin stopped, his glassy eyes devoid of any human warmth, locked onto Timmy's terrified gaze. Then, with a voice as cold and harsh as a winter's night, Mr. Grin spoke. His words were a chilling whisper that echoed through the room, revealing his terrifying intentions. This was not the playful, friendly ventriloquist doll that Timmy had been introduced to. This was an entity of pure evil, a puppet with a malevolent plan. A plan that involved Timmy. The room seemed to close in on Timmy as the true nature of Mr. Grin dawned on him. Every shadow in the room seemed to grow darker. Every silence seemed more profound. The once innocent wooden doll was now a harbinger of something sinister, something that made Timmy's blood run cold. Frozen in fear, Timmy could only watch as Mr. Grin revealed his true, horrifying nature. The room was filled with an oppressive silence, a silence that was only broken by the chilling laughter of Mr. Grin. Trapped in a deadly game with Mr. Grin, Timmy found himself fighting for his life. Our young hero, driven by fear and desperation, scrambled through the labyrinth-like house, Mr. Grin's eerie laughter echoing behind him. Picture this. A child's plaything turned predator, the hunter and the hunted engaged in a chilling dance of death. Timmy's heart pounded like a drum in his chest as he barely dodged Mr. Grin's sinister attacks. Each narrow escape intensified the terror, the suspense. But Timmy wouldn't go down without a fight. In a house of horrors, he found a glimmer of hope, an old, rusty chest. With a final burst of courage, Timmy locked Mr. Grin in a chest and ran for his life. But as he escaped, he heard the faint sound of the chest unlocking from behind. Could Mr. Grin be out again? What happens next, only time will tell.